Welcome to another episode of Game Boy Roulette, where we take a look at randomly chosen games from the Game Boy library. Arcade Classics 2, Centipede and Millipede. That's so many legs. Arcade games being ported to the Game Boy was a huge win for everyone. The companies make money by re-releasing their games, while the players get to enjoy those games without spending $500 in quarters to beat them. But some of the games were designed to be very short, so porting them could result in insubstantial games. Enter the 2-in-1 Arcade Classics series that brought combos of arcade games to the Game Boy, giving you more bang for your buck. We've already looked at a few packs, the Asteroids Missile Command and the Galaga Galaxian collections, both of which were very solid conversions of their arcade games. And most importantly, today's game was sitting alphabetically at the top of the current list of games for the randomizer to pick from. Congratulations on the promotion, Defender Joust. We've actually talked about Centipede before when we looked at the solo port of the game, but as a recap, it was a frenetic and fun arcade fixed shooter game programmed in part by women in gaming pioneer Donna Bailey. She wanted the game to appeal more to girls with a more vibrant color palette, and that's exactly what happened, making it one of the first arcade games to have a significant female player base. And due to its massive popularity, Atari developed and published a sequel, Millipede, a year later, albeit now with the other main designer of Centipede, Ed Logg, as the new head of development. While not quite as massively groundbreaking or successful as Centipede, Millipede was still in the top 5 arcade games of 1983. Honestly though, I'm most curious about what the actual differences between the games are, besides the number of legs, of course. I really thought I was ready for this box art, but even I can be surprised. Look, it's just something about the hairs on the Centipede or the spikes on the Millipede that is really getting to me. I don't care how colorful they are, I think I want to step on this box art. 2 more arcade games hit the small screen. Get the raid for Arcade Classics, Centipede, Millipede. Nintendo presents, in association with... Accolade, right. Right, some of these were made by Accolade. There we go, Millipede, Centipede, Arcade Classics. Huh, they have Millipede listed first. Wow, this is surprisingly good music for this menu. I want to start with the original, Centipede. Whoa. Oh my god, they are going so hard with this music. Centipede. Now, how similar is it to the original Centipede that we played? The answer is... I'm pretty sure identical. I did go back and I watched some of my original playthrough of the Centipede solo game. And yeah, this is pretty much identical. Similar sound effects, if not the exact same. Similar spiders, surprising and killing me. Remember, Centipede does have a story. You're playing as like a little gnome protecting a garden. Ooh, no. Is that thing good? It's not, it's creating mushrooms. The controls are B to shoot one at a time, A to also shoot one at a time. Okay, never mind. Right, it depends on, you can technically only have one bullet on screen at once, but as soon as it hits anything, the bullet goes away. So you can get like super rapid fire like that. The thing about Centipede is that it's just it's one of those, perfect arcade games. Simple, but very cathartic and satisfying. I definitely think it loses something without the, color. Okay, destroying those different colored mushrooms didn't do anything. Oh god. What? What? What did I do? I'd say the biggest problem with Centipede is that when you remain on the same screen pretty much non-stop, it does get a little more samey than other arcade games. It really is just a slight elevation of, like, Galaga or Galaxian. It's one of those games that there's not much there, but it's fun. Now, of course, the problem with the original one that we played was it was just this on a cartridge. But I have it on good authority that there's another game in this pack. This is the big thing I want to answer. How does Millipede play any differently? Again, very good music. Millipede, oh man, it's so pissed off back there. There's less options. Start score, I'm worth 50,000. What? It seems downgraded. Wait a minute. Why are there cans of DDT? Oh, because we're fighting bugs. All they've pretty much done is change up the enemies. Oh, wait. Something's happening. Never mind, I lied. Nothing's happening. Was the original? Oh my god. It's an actual centipede / millipede. Okay, now things are ramping up. There we go. Oh god. Alright, we got it. Okay, interesting. Yeah, it starts off a lot slower. How similar were they in arcades is what I'm wondering now. What? Where is this music coming from? I can't tell what activates the music. Hang on. I need to look these up. What makes these games different in arcade? So, apparently the only differences between Centipede and Millipede were different enemies and occasional bonus rooms that are just no mushrooms, you just kill a bunch of enemies. That's a little disappointing, but also kind of just par for the course. With a lot of really popular arcade games, where is the music coming from? That they just did like minor upgrades and then sold it as the sequel. I was nowhere near that, how dare you. You know, the thing about these arcade classics combos is that they never really tried to update the games. They were just, whoa god, oh, this is the bonus room. Bees. They were just packaging 2 games without really trying to update them. One of the best Game Boy games ever made is Donkey Kong, which took everything about the original arcade game and significantly upgraded it. And there's nothing wrong with these arcade classics games. They're great to have. It's fun to be able to, you know, pop in a cartridge and be like, oh man, I'm playing a bunch of cool old arcade games without spending $1 billion quarters. Ow, Dragonfly. But it also means if you're looking for something more, you're not really gonna get it. That's just sort of my 2 cents, though, because in the end, I do think these are good games worth owning. They're fun games. They're great looks at legendary arcade games. And there is something very nice about playing the original. I guess I just, in general, prefer the ones that give you both the original and an updated version. Although I suppose for this one, that would just mean far more realistic bugs and... you know what? Nah, this one's fine. I certainly like this more than actual Centipedes and Millipedes, not pictured here to preserve your sanity. The Arcade Classics series was one that focused specifically on doing one thing for better or worse. However, it's mostly for the better, as just like the other 2 Arcade Classics games, this was a great look at gaming's yesteryear in the form of 2 really good games. Both Centipede and Millipede are what made 80s arcades so much fun. They're easy to jump in and play, they're simple action that anyone can understand, and they're just satisfying. Even though they do lose something without the bright colors of the original arcade releases, especially so since the games were made to be colorful, that doesn't take that much away from them as games. And when packaged together so you can play both and compare them, it makes for a perfect little museum of 2 legacy games. The issue I have with this game is similar to the one I had with the Galaga Galaxian collection. For those games, I asked why release them together when one is a straight upgrade of the other. While here it's more a case of why release both games when they're so similar. While there are some differences between Centipede and Millipede, they're so similar it almost feels like it would have been better to release a single game with a whole lot of modes and tweaks, rather than porting both games straight to the Game Boy. Now this is very subjective, and not a knock at the game at all, but I do think that some of these Arcade Classics games would be more fun if they were 2 very different arcade games together. That's probably why my favorite of them so far has been Asteroid's Missile Command. Putting personal preference aside, this was still the kind of game that I think is worth going out of your way to play, just to experience 2 of the grandmothers of gaming. Definitely add this one to your collection, and knock out 2 great arcade games at once. As long as we don't have to look at any actual centipedes, you can now thank me for not putting any images of them in this video. And that's all for another episode of Game Boy Roulette. Make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe to follow the series as we continue to dig through the Game Boy vault. I'm BrianJ, and I'll see you next time.